What is up, everyone? Travis here with Mineral Mentor. Today we have another special interview with Dr. Joel Wallach, the one, the only, the man, the myth, and the legend. He's going to be talking about a bunch of different things today, answering our questions about health, life, longevity. So I'm going to turn it over to him, and we're excited to have you, Doc. Thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you, Travis, and thank you, your whole team and everything. Appreciate it, and your Longevity family who's on and their guests and so on. And they know how to get a hold of you, so I'm not going to go into that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to talk about today is the COVID-19. COVID-19 is not new. It probably went back several thousand years ago when people got the flu. It was a mixture of the flu virus and COVID-19 and SARS and MERS and H1N1 and all that kind of stuff. And there were bad years, there were okay years and so forth. But now they have the ability to dissect these flu events. It used to be called plagues in the old days. Now they're called pandemics. It's the same thing. A pandemic is a plague, and a plague is a pandemic. Okay, it's just different terminology. Okay, and basically, we have to look at the pre-existing conditions. This, of course, is what sets you up for serious disease. Okay, Hell's Kitchen. A kitchen can be a place of hell or heaven or hell. Whatever you do in there is called, okay, Hell's Kitchen. The cause, prevention, and cure of obesity, diabetes, and the metabolic syndrome. All of these things in the metabolic syndrome, including high blood pressure and heart disease and kidney failure and COPD and all that kind of stuff, as well as obesity and diabetes, are all pre-existing conditions which set you up for a bad time if you get COVID. They're all nutritional deficiency diseases. They're not genetic in any way, shape, or form. The reason why my thesis for my 20,000 autopsies, I did my thesis, it was a $25 million National Institutes of Health grant, okay, Washington University. And the thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure because they showed there were no genetically transmitted diseases. There are no genetically transmitted birth defects. It freaked everybody out. Now, the fact that I'm saying, quote, fact, unquote, that all these diseases are caused by genetics goes back to the days of the Nazis. Okay, when Nazis came along and they wanted a pure race because genetics was kind of a new science back then, and they were going to be the next Roman Empire based on sorting out all the bad genes and doing with just the good genes, right? And they wanted to know how to enhance the proportion of good genes. So that was the whole idea of Nazism. Well, not much has changed in the medical system. Not much has changed in the medical system. They still believe that everything is due to genetics. It is not. Nothing is due to genetics other than your skin color, your eye color, whether you're a boy or a girl, that kind of stuff. But let's just take type 2 diabetes. Today, Singapore, a small Asian country, about close to 6 million people, they have 58,000 infections with COVID and 28 deaths. Okay, let's go to Taiwan, a bigger Asian country with 23 million people, okay, like 4 times as many people as Singapore has 611 infections and 7 deaths. Singapore has 58,000 infections and 28 deaths. What's the difference between Taiwan and Singapore? Well, Taiwan is, straight arrow Asian. All they do is live on rice and sweet potatoes and vegetables and fish. Whereas Singapore has a huge influence from Europe, the UK, United States, and so forth, Spain, and so forth. And there's a lot of wheat, brown, and oats there. Now, let's just take one disease right now of these pre-existing conditions. Let's just take type 2 diabetes. Is type 2 diabetes a genetic disease? No, it's a simple nutritional deficiency disease. According to the World Health Organization 15 minutes ago, which I looked them up on Siri, according to Siri, the World Health Organization came out and said, right now, there's 463 million people in the world with type 2 diabetes. We don't know how many are pre-diabetic, but 463 million have type 2 diabetes. In the United States, we have 30 million people with diabetes, type 2 diabetes. We don't know how many are pre-diabetic. And none of these are genetically transmitted diseases. I can get rid of them in 30 days. I'm going to repeat that. Okay? I can get rid of type 2 diabetes in 30 days if you will do exactly as I say, because it's a simple nutritional deficiency disease. There's two things we have to do. Now, I'm talking about all the diseases that doctors say are genetic. And we're talking about diabetes and high blood pressure and heart disease and kidney failure and arthritis. And you got it, right? All these things, Alzheimer's disease. These are all nutritional deficiency diseases. And if people listen to me, particularly diabetes, I mean, I take people who've been a brittle diabetic for 30 years, they've gone blind, they've had their feet cut off and all this kind of stuff. In 30 days, they're on my program, they're ex-diabetic. Very simple, okay? Now, type 2 diabetes is a deficiency of three possibilities. There's two different mineral deficiencies that can cause type 2 diabetes. Sometimes some people have bad luck and they have both deficiencies. Okay, so it's one or the other or both. Okay, those are the three options. So what you do is you got to get rid of all the bad foods to maximize absorption. Now, the big question is, do nutrients occur the same all over the world? Answer is no. We're out of the Bible. Did people live the longest? The place in the Bible where people lived the longest. It was the land flowing with what?
Milk and honey. There
you go. It wasn't everywhere. There was in the Bible. There's one place where people lived the longest. The land flowing with milk and honey. That's why hippies die so early, because they don't want to eat dairy. Okay. All vertebrates, whether you're a whale, I should say all mammal vertebrates, whether you're a whale or a porpoise or a human being, or a bear, or a cow, or a giraffe, a bear, all mammal vertebrates have milk, okay, for their babies. All vertebrates that bring along their babies out of eggs have a similar compound as milk, or a stuff as milk is called the egg yolk. It's the same as the fat in the milk. Okay, has all the fat soluble vitamins, and you got the drill, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there's a kind of a uniform pattern here. So if you want to, I don't care if you've had diabetes and diagnosed for 2 weeks, 2 years, 20 years, you got to do two things. Number one, get rid of the bad foods to maximize absorption. Absolutely no fried foods. No fried foods. Got to get rid of all the inflammation. Because what we're looking to do is give you maximum health of the villi, these little finger-like projections in your intestines. When you cut open a normal human intestine, whether it's surgery and autopsy, your intestinal lining should look like a shag rug. Okay, not smooth. It should be like all these little finger-like projections, which increase the surface area by 95%. Over time, when you eat gluten, those villi go away, and you get what's called medullary dysplasia. Dysplasia, look up the word dysplasia in the medical dictionary. It's a change in structure, particularly of layered tissues, okay? Now, if you look at a healthy bone marrow cavity, it makes white blood cells, which go through your bloodstream to kill and eat viruses and go and kill and eat cancer cells and that kind of thing. If you look at, let's see here. If you look at platelets are made by the bone marrow, red blood cells are made by the bone marrow, stem cells are made by the bone marrow, and stem cells make antibodies which go through the bloodstream and kill viruses and bacteria and so forth. So your bone marrow as your immune system is very important. Now, people who have to go to the doctor's office every month for a B12 shot or an iron shot because they're anemic all the time. Sometimes they have to, every month, get a transfusion because they don't make enough platelets and they have a low white blood cell count. That's because their bone marrow is dead, because they've been eating gluten. Those villi are gone. They're not supplementing with anything. And nutritional minerals do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. They occur in veins like gold and silver and chocolate and chocolate ripple ice cream. So you can eat the same recipe your grandmother used to cook her breakfast and lunch and dinners. I mean, I followed her recipes perfectly, and she lived to be 114. But I died at 60. Why did I die at 60 and she died at 114? I did her exact same recipes. Well, she lived where? Oh, she lived in Western Pennsylvania. Where do you live? Oh, I live in Southern Texas. Well, do you think the soil there is exactly the same? Well, probably not. Oh, no. That's why we put vitamins and minerals in animal pellets, because we're going to level the playing field so that an animal being raised in this county for food is going to get the same nutrition as from 3 counties away. We're not taking a chance on what may or may not be in that soil that those plants are growing in, because you can't tell by looking at the plant. And so I began to do this in human beings when I was 9 years old. Okay, that's when I became a healer, when I was 9. So no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, bran, oats. There are no such things as gluten-free oats. It's called gliadin in oats, but it's still gluten. And then the 90 essential nutrients, our basic core program, we call the Healthy Start Pack. It has 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 minerals, and 3 fatty acids. Everybody kind of agrees to these essential nutrients. But a doctor will tell somebody, say, you know, I've read something about, shouldn't I be taking some vitamins or minerals here for my diabetes? Nah, just eat well, you're getting everything you need. Well, that doctor should be put in jail for being a serial killer, spelled S-E-R and also C-E-R, because the gluten is cereal, right? Oatmeal for breakfast, right? And Wheaties, breakfast champions, they kill you because your villi go away and you can't protect yourself. Then I also want you to look at people like Herman Cain. I don't know if you remember him. Herman Cain, he was the CEO of Godfather's Pizza, billionaire, 74 years old. The last day of June of this year, he was diagnosed with COVID. He was put in a private hospital, given IV pharmaceuticals to kill viruses, and he was given oxygen in the room and everything. Before the end of July, less than 30 days after diagnosis, he dies. They do the autopsy on him, and he didn't die of a viral infection of his chest cavity and his lungs, pneumonia. He hemorrhaged to death because he couldn't make platelets, because he had 8 pre-existing conditions, which his doctors had been treating him for 18 years. By treating his symptoms, giving him prednisone, cortisone for his arthritis. Okay, giving him tranquilizers so he'd lose some weight. All those kind of things. So you want to get on the 90 essential nutrients. We have secret sauces for 600 different diseases. It's not unusual for people to have, as Herman Cain did. He had 8 pre-existing conditions, and his doctors, he had the best doctors in the world. He's paying high-priced money for them. And they were giving him the best treatments, right? No, they were giving him the treatments that made him happy, because his pain was relieved. He could sleep and that kind of stuff. Now, another story goes back to all these people who die of COVID, okay? They don't have any defenses. They're hemorrhaging to death. They do get infections. And so what do? Well, you got to get rid of all the bad foods, take the 90, and take any secret sauce necessary for specific diseases you have. And you will prevail. You will live. But if you want a cheap way to die, just drink water, go on a fast. You know, the virus will kill you when you have these 8 pre-existing conditions, because you don't have any defense. And so that's true not only for diabetes, but it's also true for lupus, an autoimmune disease, right? No. Lupus is just a gluten problem. When you're eating gluten for 30, 40, 50 years, your villi are gone. You have this dysplasia in your bone marrow cavity. And what happens here is you're eating gluten, wheat, rye, and oats, cereal and toast and pancakes and waffles and spaghetti and the usual sources of gluten. And you're not supplementing, you're going to die. Okay? You're going to die. Well, see, that's because he didn't take our treatment for the lupus. Well, it wasn't lupus, it was just gluten. He needed vitamins and minerals. Even if they took the treatment, he might feel better for 6 more months before he died. but he's still going to die because the prednisone and cortisone only made the dysplasia in the bone marrow cavity worse. Okay, so there's no reason why people cannot get everything they need. Now, we need to talk about the book Epigenetics, The Death of the Genetic Theory of Disease Transmission. We have a 2 CD set that goes along with this. It goes over 8,000 human autopsies and goes into some 900 different diseases. And then we also have the book Immortality. Dr. Milan and I looked at all the 10 cultures on Earth that lived the longest. They lived to be 165 on the average. They lived to be 185 on the average. The oldest ones lived to be 260. Okay, published. Okay, the New York Times didn't want to believe it, so they actually sent their most vicious investigative reporter, a guy by the name of James Hilton, to this location between Pakistan and China, where this place is, where these people live to be 260 years old. And he followed these people for a year. He sends an article back, talks about Shangri-La, a valley there in between Pakistan and China, where people live to be well over 200. And the valley's name was Shangri-La. Have you ever heard of the term Shangri-La? It's the mythical place where little people live forever. But it was actually a real valley where these people lived to be over 200, 260, and so on. Well, he wrote a book called Lost Horizon. And they made a movie out of it in 1933 called Lost Horizon. Everybody needs to pay attention to that. And I also want them to get my quartet of books. My quartet of books is called Let's Play Doctor, Let's Play Herbal Doctor, Passport to Therapy, and it's all in your head. Those 4 books will tell you how to diagnose all these diseases. Okay? Now, you have to remember that the biggest killer of Americans is the medical system. Now, people say, oh, Wallach, they're going to sue you. Please, I hope they do. Let's get it out. Let's get it into federal court. Well, here's what happened. About 6 weeks ago, Johns Hopkins, very famous medical school from Baltimore, Maryland, right? Everybody knows Johns Hopkins. You'd have to say they're in the top 5 medical schools of the world, right? Johns Hopkins. They came out with a 7-year study. They started in 2013. And they looked at the top 10. Is that right? No, they looked at the top 20, excuse me. They were going for the top 20 causes of death in American hospitals. Number 1, they said, was complications of cardiovascular disease treatment in hospitals, infections from surgery, bad surgery technique, whatever. Number 2, cause of death in hospitals in America each year is bad luck from treatments of cancer. And we're talking about, again, chemotherapy, radiation, infections from surgery, and so on. But the one that I really loved was number 3. Number 3 was medical errors. It was the 3rd leading cause of death in American hospitals each year. Now, are you holding on to your seat, Travis?
Always.
Okay. Now, remember, I'm just quoting Johns Hopkins. This is what they published in their article, in their journal. They said each year in America, medical doctors from medical errors kill, that's the word they use, kill 251,440,000 humans in their hospitals each year in America from medical errors. Travis, how many businesses do you know could stay in business if they kill 251,000, 440,000 of their customers in their workplace?
Just one.
Only one. That's the medical system. I mean, if you kill 2 people, that's way out of order. They're going to go to jail, right? Mm-hmm. But doctors get a walk because they have insurance. Okay, mm-hmm. They have insurance, and they pay the grieving family. The family says, "Well, we won't get any money if we complain." No, we'll leave it go. Okay. And so I urge everybody to look at what we do. Okay, we treat, we talk to, we educate and inform over 2 million people a day around the world in over 50 countries through my books and CDs and DVDs and lectures and Zooms and things. I really appreciate you doing this Zoom. And so what I want to do here, we're about that point that get rid of these pre-existing conditions. Don't wait and say, oh God, I was diagnosed with COVID yesterday, I better get rid of these pre-existing conditions. No, it's too late. You should have been getting rid of these pre-existing conditions before you got COVID. Then when you get COVID, you don't have to worry about it, because it takes a couple of weeks to a month or so, depending on how much gluten you ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, to get those villi to come back so you can absorb the nutrients. It doesn't happen in 30 minutes, okay? Mm-hmm. And so you'll probably wind up to be one of those 440,000 people that get killed every year in American hospitals from medical errors. Okay, back to you, Travis.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that, Dr. Wallach. I mean, I was writing down everything you were talking about so I can break it up and share it all with people as we go through this. But we do have a handful of people on here. I wanted to give them the opportunity to talk to you one-on-one. If anyone has any questions, we'd like to open it up. And if you don't have any questions, I'm always full of things to ask you about. So if anyone wants to jump in, please feel free to unmute yourself and jump on in there.
I have a question for the doc. How does gluten mess up your villi in your small intestine?
Okay, I hear kids in the background there.
Yeah, they are. Sorry, they are. But how does gluten mess up your the villi of your small intestine?
Okay, gluten is a very caustic substance. It's very caustic. And so it's like, what would acid do to your skin? That's what gluten does to your villi. It just eats them, and they retract and go away. And they go away because gluten acts like an acid, and your body reacts to it by, okay, if you're going to pour acid on me, I'm going to go away. Now, you have to appreciate that when a kid who's 3 years old gets COVID, their temperature will go up a half a degree. It goes from 98.6 to 99. That came classified as a fever. They might be sick for 3 days with common cold-like symptoms, and it's over with. They've only been eating gluten for 2 years. They're 3 years old. But somebody who's 63, 73, 83, they've been eating gluten for 63, 73, 83 years. Their villi are gone. Their intestine is like a plastic tube. They've lost 95% of their absorptive surface. Bam, you're dead. Because you cannot absorb the nutrients even if you take them. So it's imperative to get rid of these pre-existing conditions before you get sick, because it takes time. It takes maybe a couple of weeks to a couple of months for those villi to start coming back. But they will come back if you get off of gluten and take the 90. But you want to get rid of them before you get to COVID, because you got two things happening at the same time. COVID's wanting to kill you, and you're trying to grow your villi. You don't want to do that, okay? You want to get rid of the pre-existing conditions first.
I apologize. My screen froze up there for a second. What was the mechanism that it binds up or makes the villi irritated or go away?
It acts like acid. Gluten acts like acid. Mm-hmm. It would be the same thing as you drinking a cup of sulfuric acid before each meal.
And why does it act that way? Yeah,
I don't know. It's the nature of gluten. All gluten-containing grains do the same thing: wheat, barley, rye, and oats. There are no such things as gluten-free wheat, barley, rye, or oats. The breakfast of champions, why do you think young athletes die in their 20s? They can't absorb nutrients, and they have hypertrophic cardiomyopathy heart disease. I've done 1,700 autopsies on kids that have died of that one, published in 3 languages. Now, when you look at hypertrophic cardiomyopathy heart disease, that is a simple nutritional deficiency disease, and people get it because they've been eating gluten. Even if they're taking a 1 a day or something like that, they might get a little bit of those nutrients. But if their villi are gone, 1% of 1% is not very much. So you're not going to get enough to save yourself. So you have to get rid of the gluten, give it up. And now, again, let me give you an example here. Let's compare Texas and Taiwan. They have about the same population, okay? Texas and Taiwan. Texas has about 27 million people. And Taiwan has 26 million people, okay? Pretty close. Taiwan has 611 COVID infections and 7 deaths. Texas has 1 million COVID infections and 20,000 deaths. They have the same population, so what's the difference in them? Well, Texas is like 70% Latinos who eat nothing but wheat, barley, rye, and oats, who drink nothing but wheat, barley, rye, and oats. They have no villi left, whereas Taiwan, all they do is live on rice and sweet potatoes and vegetables. They eat no gluten. So they only have 7 deaths. They may have fallen down the steps because they were drunk, who knows? But they're diagnosed with COVID, 7. Whereas 20,000 deaths in Texas, same population as Taiwan. Let me give you another one. Even better than that, let's just look at one country. Let's look at India, okay? India is 1.4 billion people. It has almost the same population as China, very close. Those two countries have between them 2/3 of the world population, okay? 1.4 billion people in India. They have 9 million infections. They have 9 million infections and 132,000 deaths from COVID. So I called about, I don't know, 6 months ago. I called the World Health Organization. I went on there, online. And I said, tell me about the politics of India and who are they? Well, they're a single race of people. They are a very uniform race of people. Most of them are the same religion. I said, okay, what's their political structure? Well, they have 29 states and 7 territories, which make up the country of India, okay? Do they all have the same per state and territory? Do they all have the same percentage of COVID deaths? No, absolutely not. They're extreme differences. Really? Do they all eat the same way? Oh, no. So I went on there. They guided me to their online thing, to the dietary habits of the Indians in each of their 29 states and 7 territories. The upper tier, the top 9 states, northern states of India, have 95% of the deaths and 86% of the infections. The southern tier that has 20 states and 7 territories have 5% of the deaths and only 14% of the infections. So what's the difference between the 9 states in the north and the 20 states and 7 territories in the south? Well, the ones in the north, all they do is live on is wheat, barley, rye, and oats. And the ones in the south live on nothing but rice and sweet potatoes and vegetables. That's right out of the World Health Organization records. Okay? And the same thing is true. Let's see here. Let's look at Nigeria and Brazil. Both of them have about 207 million people. About 207 million people. Nigeria has 65,000 infections, and Brazil has 6 million infections. Nigeria has 1,000 deaths. Brazil has 167,000 deaths. So why? They have the same population, so why is such a difference? They're both the largest country, landmass on their continents. Well, in Africa, Nigeria, they live on rice and corn and sweet potatoes. And Brazil, being mostly Latino and Portuguese, they live on nothing but wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Are you beginning to see a pattern here? So we have to give up the wheat, barley, rye, and oats, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils or glutens. And just because that's the way people have been eating for years and years and years, remember, the average lifespan of people thousands of years ago was 40 years. And it got better and better over time because they could depend on food. They had more food, so they'd live a few years longer, live a few years longer, live a few years longer. We got up to a place where like 75 years on the average, and we kind of hovered there for the past 50 years. It got better every year for 1,000 years until about 50 years ago, and it kind of stayed there at 75 point something or other. Why is that? Because doctors kept telling everybody, just eat well, you get everything you need. And if you're going to, eat anything, eat more whole grains. It's good for you. All gluten. And every doctor who says that should be put in jail as a serial killer. It's spelled S-C-R-I-A-L and also C-E-R-E-A-L. He's a 2-time serial killer. Does that make sense to you, Travis?
Yes, sir, of course. So I know we have more people on here. Who's up next who would like to ask any question, talk about anything specific?
Can I go? Hey, Travis.
Of course, Kimberly. Go ahead.
Okay. And let me get the video on.
Hey.
Hi, Dr. Wallach. I was on last week too.
Yes.
So good to talk to you again, and to
thank you.
Such always a privilege to see you and to
you're very
have an
sweet.
opportunity to talk to you. I've been listening the whole time, taking notes as well. I jumped on a little bit late. So I have a friend who, and I've been in longevity for about 6 years. So I kind of know a lot of what tidbits of what of MS is, but I wanted to throw that out at you so you can give the full scope of what her protocol needs. I have a friend with MS.
Okay. What does she weigh? And what does she weigh?
I don't know. I'm thinking.
Is she
close
bigger
to
than you or
big? She's big.
Okay,
She's a big girl. Yeah.
Okay. So is she your height or smaller?
She's a little bit taller than I am. I'm 5'4". So
okay,
she's like a couple inches taller than me.
5'6". Okay. Well, 5'6". I'd like to see her weigh 140. And so if she weighs 200, she's 60 pounds overweight. Okay.
Yes.
So here we go.
Yes.
Here we go. Be sure to write, because I don't want to have to repeat all this.
No, don't worry. I've got a pen. See, okay. I've got my notebook out.
Okay. So absolutely no fried foods, no processed meats of any kind. There's nothing wrong with meat, chicken, fish, red meat. It's fine. Poultry,
right.
But it cannot be fried. It can be baked and roasted and grilled lightly. You don't burn the fat, right? And then absolutely no oils. What about extra virgin olive oil? Bam, you're dead.
Yeah.
No oils. No oils.
None. Yeah.
Okay, none.
Okay.
And now what do I use for salad dressing? Well, that's what lemon juice is for. Okay, that's what lime juice is for. Okay,
right. That's what I use.
Okay, good. And you can actually, I like to use nuts and raisins and things like that, and put that on my salads. Nuts and raisins. Okay, it's kind of a weird dressing. I also use a gluten-free, sugar-free yogurt. I will put on there.
Oh, that's okay.
You know, pineapple yogurt, strawberry yogurt, and blueberry yogurt. That's a really good kind of stuff. Okay, but it's got to be gluten-free and sugar-free. Okay, and no gluten, no wheat, no brown rye oats.
Okay.
Well, what do I eat for breakfast? Well, for breakfast every morning I have rice. You can have every kind of rice except fried rice. No fried rice because it's fried foods. It's made with oils, right? So no fried rice. You have wild rice, brown rice, red rice, yellow rice, white rice. And then, let's see here. I also eat baked sweet potatoes with butter. I also have smoked salmon. This morning I also had a small steak with my smoked salmon for breakfast. And I will have every morning I'll have 3 poached eggs with soft yolks. And I use my pink Himalayan salt from Longevity on there. Okay. Yes. On the rice, the sweet potatoes, and the salad, and the eggs.
And everything.
Okay. Okay. And then I want she's got to eat 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolks. Hard-boiled eggs won't count, and hard scrambled eggs won't count. They're going to be soft, runny yolks. Okay.
Okay.
Now, you have to appreciate that MS, ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, various types of dementias, including pellagra and beriberi and stuff like that, are all the same disease. Now, the only thing different about MS, it has those little plaques about the size of a pea or a dime or something like that, a couple of millimeters around, these little connective tissue plaques. So it's a little bit different, but the diet is the same in all these brain diseases. Now, the treatment for all of them is 1 healthy brain and heart pack per month per 100 pounds of body weight. So she's going to need 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, a full dose of everything twice a day. 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, a full dose. Okay. 2 full doses a day, 1 at breakfast, 1 at dinner time. I also want her to have the Synaptive. I want her to have 3 of those twice a day. Or Synaptive, 3 of those twice a day.
3 twice a day. 3 twice.
Yeah, once a week won't count.
Okay.
Yeah, once a week won't count. It's got to be 3 twice a day. She's got a disease. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, reading the label doesn't count. She's got to take 3 twice a day.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Get over it. Okay. Then she needs also the Ultimate Niacin Plus, one of those twice a day. That's 1 bottle a month, the Ultimate Niacin Plus. I also want her to have the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. I want her to take 3 of those 3 times a day. That's going to...
Ultimate Daily.
No, Ultimate Daily Classic.
Oh, Classic. I'm sorry. Okay. Got
you know,
it.
got like 3 different products that are very close together in name. And this is the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. Okay.
Okay, gotcha. I know
Daily
what those
Classic
are, yeah.
tablets. Okay.
Okay.
So she needs 3 of those 3 times a day. They will support healthy blood flow into the brain, healthy blood flow out of the brain, and reduce the risk of stroke and all that kind of stuff. But also, I want her to take things that are going to help get rid of those plaques in the brain. So she needs our Fucoid Z. She could take 3 of those twice a day. Fucoid Z, it comes from brown marine algae. They're capsules.
I love Fucoid Z. Yeah, okay.
And then sometimes if she wants on the weekends when the grandkids are there, it tastes good, she can take our Z Radical and give it to the grandkids also. The Z Radical is a liquid, same product, it's just a liquid form. And we've added to it our plant minerals. And so the Fucoid Z has been put into our plant minerals in the Z Radical, right? So kids like it and it's good for them. 2 doses a day of the Z Radical or 3 of the capsules twice a day of the Fucoid Z capsules. I also want her to have the pollen burst. Take 3 of those twice a day. The capsules, I like the blueberry because it has SOD in it, superoxide dismutase, which is a great antioxidant, reduces inflammation, and allows the white blood cells to eat those plaques and get rid of the plaques in the brain.
I actually teach that class, Dr. Wallach. Adrian Gold passed it on to me, so I know all about. I love pollen burst, so I'm right there with you on the SOD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
Okay, and one more. If they want to throw in one more, they could throw in the Cell Shield RTQ.
Okay.
Resveratrol, turmeric, and quercetin. Again, they will damp down the inflammation, but also because they are anti-inflammatory, they will help their white blood cells eat and kill and get rid of the plaque of MS.
Oh, interesting. I'm learning so much. Okay, I got it. I think I got it all.
Okay, give us a call
you.
Give us a call every couple of weeks. I mean, we get such good feedback on this. I mean, I've been doing this for 50 years. I take people who are in comas for 8 years in a nursing home, being told they had Alzheimer's disease. Right? They're in a coma for 8 years, being fed these. Let's see here, these liquid meals in a can. What do you call them? Through their G tube.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Like Ensure.
Yeah.
Ensure.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What?
They have one called Ensure, and they have some
Ensure.
called
there
Boost.
You go. Yeah, Boost, Ensure, those kind of things. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Been given that 3 times a day for 8 years, and they're in a coma. We give them what I just told you to do, along with because they're unconscious. We gave them also our shake for 3 meals a day to replace the to replace the Ensure, okay? And then we also gave them everything I just told you, plus and we made our shake out of heavy cream instead of water because I wanted to rebuild the brain. And in 3 days' time, after 8 years of being in a coma, they get up. They thought they were only asleep one night. They went back to work.
That's amazing. That's a miracle. Wow.
And it is a miracle. And they were actually a talk show host. And so they went right. And also, this guy was a vice president of a bank. He goes back to the bank. And the people at the bank that were there then when he went back were not there when he went into the coma 8 years previous. And he thought, well, this guy's a clever criminal. He's coming back saying he's a bank officer because he's going to rob the bank.
Oh, my gosh. Wow, what a story that is. Woo.
Yeah, well, they had the police swarm the bank because they thought this guy was going to rob the bank. He was, this is my desk. What do you mean? This is my desk.
Right. Because he thought it was yesterday, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That's definitely one of my favorite stories.
Okay, well, thank you so much. So much. I will pass this on to her.
Okay.
Appreciate that very much.
All right, Dr. Wallach, I have a question for you for a customer that I have. There was a report that came out in 2012 that you talked about baby food and baby formula not having proper supplements, right? So I was posting about that and talking to people about that. And the question that came up is, how do you create dosages and what are the proper supplements that we can use for, like an 8-month-old? Is there a protocol that we can use?
Yes. Well, for kids that aren't, going to take a handful of pills and tablets and capsules, they're not old enough yet. we came up with what we call Kids Toddy. It's a liquid with all the nutrients in it, except EFAs. You got to give them the EFAs as well as Kids Toddy. And Kids Toddy tells you by body weight on the label how to take it. And so you give it to these kids. You start giving them the EFAs as well. You stick the EFA and squirt it in their Kids Toddy. And then that's in addition to their, regular food, because remember, we won that federal court thing April 16th, 2013. So they forced them right now. I think there's 12 minerals in baby foods. Prior to that, there was only 3. Now there's 12. Okay. And including the one that prevents cystic fibrosis, muscular dystrophy, and the sudden death syndrome. Okay. So I'm the guy that got rid of those 3 diseases. You haven't heard much about them since 2013 because the courts forced Enfamil and Similac to put those nutrients in the baby formulas. And they were really just nutritional deficiencies, not genetic diseases, nor was the mother laying on the baby, okay? Only 2% of the babies that were diagnosed with sudden death syndrome were in bed with their mothers when they died. 98% were in the crib by themselves. And the mother was not climbing over the cribs at night to get in bed with the baby in the crib for, it's 4 feet long. So we're very proud of that we are responsible for eliminating sudden death syndrome, muscular dystrophy, and cystic fibrosis. And then people say, well, you're kind of arrogant, ain't you, Wallach? Well, I'm not arrogant. I'm just telling you the truth here. Okay, we got rid of those diseases by forcing them. I mean, it cost me a lot of money out of my own pocket to sue them. I didn't get a grant from the government to sue them. Okay, I had to sue them in federal court, which, we had to have all these lawyers and hotels and all like that. It cost me millions of dollars.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember you talking about that in the same, not in that talk because you hadn't done it yet. I think that talk was probably from 2012, 2013 time, but that's a great answer. I know that it'll help the one specific person I was talking to and many others.
Hi, Dr. Wallach. I have a question. Might seem like a loaded question, but my name is Tracy Chavis. I came across your site through another user that's actually on this call, right? I have had kidney disease since I was a teenager, about 18, and I am 51. I recently had a kidney transplant September the 8th of this year. Long story. So I'm over that transplant in terms of the date, but we're going into
Stop there a minute. Before you had the kidney transplant, were you on dialysis?
For 1 year.
Okay, go ahead.
I did peritoneal dialysis at home for 1 year, and my donor was a family friend. So I received a kidney from a living donor. So I'm still in recuperation stages, feeling better, not on as much medication as I was in September. Lots of things are tapering off. I want to know the best way to sort of bring back.
Close the door on the dog.
Heal the best way. I'm having some side effects from prednisone, which is I'm on 10 milligrams, including the moon phase that I have here.
Yeah.
And a lot extra.
Okay, what do you weigh? And what do you weigh and how tall are you?
I'm 5'6". I'm 280 because I gained 60 pounds in surgery.
Okay.
At post-surgery.
So at 5'6", I'd like to see you weigh 140. So you need to lose 140 pounds. So you need to get rid of all the bad foods. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, bread, rye, oats, no sugar. Then I want you to have 2 meals a day, our keto caramel diet. Need our keto caramel diet. 2 meals a day. Doesn't have to be the same meals all the time. One's a bar, one's a shake.
You said keto caramel as in the sweet?
That's right. Yes.
Caramel.
Just listen to me, please. Just listen to me.
Okay.
If you can't get what I'm saying, they're going to post it. You can get it off of that. Don't ask me to keep repeating things. Okay. And so the keto caramel diet doesn't have to be the same meals every day. On Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it could be a breakfast and dinner. On Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, it could be lunch and dinner. You can move it around. Do not take the shake and the bar at the same time, one or the other. Then I also want you to take our Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. It's 1 per 100 pounds of body weight, and then at 280 pounds. By dosage, you need to take 3 of those per month, full dose of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If finances are a problem, don't go any lower than 2, because you might as well, put a drop of water in a car tank and say it's not running. Okay, you have to take enough stuff to fix yourself. Then I also want you to take our Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. I want you to take 3 of those with each meal. You'll need 3 bottles a month. And they support healthy blood pressure, and they support healthy blood flow through blocked arteries, which is usually the reason why people have kidney disease. We have blocked arteries. Okay, it has literally nothing to do with the kidneys. Well, my kidneys show they weren't filtering the blood. Well, yeah, they can't filter the blood if they don't get it. And so what I learned was if I can get the dirty blood into the kidney by filtering the kidneys stuff, okay, and getting the blood into the kidney with the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, 3 with each meal, that's 3 bottles a month, it'll work. And you also need some anti-inflammatories to make the new kidney happy. That would be, do you have any diabetes or high blood pressure?
No.
Okay, good. All right, so I would throw in the Cell Shield RTQ. Take 3 of those 3 times a day, anti-inflammatory. I also want you to take the Pollen Burst. Take 3 doses a day of that. Okay, that'll help reduce the inflammation so you won't have to take prednisone and cortisone and all that kind of junk, which can be a negative over time. But you do have to stay away from the bad foods forever. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, brown rice, oats, no sugar. You cannot have 1 cheat meal a month. Everybody in your household has got to be gluten-free. Otherwise, you must leave or they must leave. You cannot work in a bakery. You cannot work in a kitchen, anything like that. Because of all the wheat and flour being thrown around and all this, that, and the other. And so you have to watch it because otherwise those villi will go away. You won't be able to absorb the nutrients. And your new kidneys after a couple of years will be just as bad off as your other kidneys. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Call us every couple of weeks, give us an update. And we'll walk you through this. If you do everything I say, you're gonna have a great testimony to share with people. Keep track of your weight because you can lose a half a pound to 2 pounds a day. So you can lose 60 pounds a month on my program if you do exactly as I say.
Whoa.
Dr. Wallach, would you mind?
Do any of these
Sorry. Go ahead, Tracy.
I was just gonna ask one thing because I'm on the prednisone currently. Do any of these kind of interact with that in a negative way? Like, will that impact the blood work, for instance?
No. Basically, what you're going to do is after a couple of weeks on this program, you want to say to the doctor, look, I'm feeling pretty good here. I want to come in because I want you to see if I can reduce my prednisone by 10% or 20% because I want to lose some weight here and I want to lower this prednisone cortisone. Let the doctor do it based on the numbers, but you will be able to slowly lower the prednisone and cortisone because he doesn't know what to do. He just wants you to say, it makes me feel better. And so that's why he gives you prednisone and cortisone.
I've been tapered down.
I love my
started
doctor.
Out at I started out at 40. It has gone down. I started out at 40 milligrams. Now I'm down to 10. They're going to taper me down tomorrow to 5.
Good. Okay, good. So let's keep tapering.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
I have a bit of a follow-up for that, Doc, if that's okay. So I know long-term prednisone, cortisone use is bad on the bones. So if you could dive into that, but I also wanted to ask, I have a friend that's probably about 22-year heart transplant recipient, and he's been on prednisone the entire time. And every time he tries to come off of it, it's really, really painful. He has a really hard time. Could you discuss that for just a moment?
This is a heart transplant?
Yeah, he's about 22 years post-heart transplant, I think.
Okay. Yeah,
but he never got, they never took him off of prednisone. So when they try and do it now, it hurts.
He needs to get rid of all the bad foods. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat, brown rice, oats, no sugar. Have you ever heard of that?
Of course.
Okay. How much does this guy weigh?
About probably like 160.
Okay, I'm hearing a lot of gab in the background. You need to punch the button and mute him. Thank you. Okay, 160. So I want him to have 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, a full dose of everything twice a day. He needs the MSM, 3 of those with each meal. That's 2 bottles a month. The MSM, that's going to help him grow cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, disc between the vertebrae, because he may have sciatica. He may have bone-to-bone arthritis in his hips and his knees. He may have degenerative disc disease. He's got, low back issues and neck issues and osteoporosis of the skull and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of times, let's say that, remember, the treatment of reducing inflammation, because he had a heart transplant, you know, kind of dampening down his immune system so his heart, you know, it doesn't attack his new heart, gets rid of all the minerals out of the bones. And so all this pain that he gets when he gets off of prednisone and cortisone can be just, he's got osteoporosis because of this chronic use of prednisone. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Next.
We got about 10 more minutes. If anyone's got any follow-up
I've got one more question. Dr. Wallach, was your background as a pathologist? Is that what it is?
Okay, I have a degree in agriculture. I have a degree in veterinary medicine. I am a pathologist. My thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure because I'm the guy that showed there were no genetic diseases, no transmitted birth defects. It's all in I guess, 2 books, Epigenetics, The Death of Genetic Theory of Disease Transmission, and a 2 CD set that goes along with it. Okay, Epigenetics, The Death of Genetic Theory of Disease Transmission. Okay, and so I'm sorry, what's the rest of the question there?
You covered it.
I'm also a licensed naturopathic physician in California and Oregon since 1982, and I'm in the process of getting literally thousands of invitations and calls from the state of Arizona, so I'm going to get licensed in the state of Arizona.
Great. One more question for you, totally off topic. How bad is alcohol for you, or is it really that bad, or is it not that bad? Like,
rye whiskey is bad because it's alcohol, plus it's got gluten in it because it's rye. Beer, you know, Mexican beer is made from wheat, okay? So the alcohol is bad, plus the gluten is in there is bad. And then you have that you're going to eat with that your flour tortillas, which has gluten, is bad. There's bourbon and scotch, okay? And even the Mexican vodka is made from wheat, bran, and oats, whereas the Russian vodka is made from potatoes. Wine is safe. Wine is safe, okay? You can have a glass of wine at night with dinner. I've been having a glass of wine with dinner my whole life since I was a little kid. My grandma used to give me a teaspoon of a glass because we had a vineyard in our farm, so we made wine. So she would always give me a teaspoon of wine since I was a little baby every night. I still have a wine glass full of wine from Argentina, red wine from Argentina. Okay, and
what about the toxicity of alcohol itself? Is there any concerns about that? Obviously, it's not the same mechanism as the gluten and this other thing. But
well, I've been taking the 90 essential nutrients for 79 years. I don't have any toxicity from my 1 glass of wine every night because guess what? I don't get drunk on beer every Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make your choice.
So small amounts tolerable. Yeah.
Well, if you want to have, you know, a small glass of wine with dinner every night, that's tolerable as long as you're taking your 90 essential nutrients. If you have a glass of wine every night, you're not taking your 90 essential nutrients. You're going to, as you lose your nutrients, okay, you're going to start having cravings. Cravings are caused by mineral deficiencies. You say, you know, I better have a second glass of that wine. And soon you're on 3 glasses of wine at night instead of 1 small wine glass. And so there you go. And then you're in trouble. So you have to.
One more question about alcohol. Does alcohol dissolve the nutrients and leach them from your body, or does anything else do that?
It prevents you from absorbing them. It prevents you from absorbing them because it has gluten in it, and those villi go away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I stick with the wine, okay, as opposed to, I don't drink cerveza. You know what cerveza is? That's Mexican beer.
Yes, beer. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I don't eat pan. Okay, that's Mexican for beer, for bread. Okay. I don't eat the breakfast of champions, which is Wheaties. I don't eat oatmeal. I don't eat Quaker oats. Let it kill the Quakers, not me.
Yeah. Well, so for example, like New Belgium came out with a gluten-free beer called Glutini, and that's the name of it, but it is a gluten-free beer. So if
I want to know what it's made out of, because there's some people who think that oats don't have gluten in them. And is Glutini? I'll have to ask Siri. Is Glutini made with gluten-free oats? There are no such things. I want to know what it's made of.
I don't know how they get the gluten out. I have no idea. But I'll find out.
But it may be made from rice. I mean, Japanese and Chinese beer is made from rice. They don't have any gluten in their beer.
So sake's okay. Sake's good.
Sake is made from rice. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why the Japanese don't have half our problems. Because they live on the same way with all the Asian countries, because they live on rice and sweet potatoes and vegetables. It's the Europeans and the countries that had a lot of European influence, okay, that have the big troubles. And you look at the biggest percentage of deaths is in Italy. 10% of their infections die. Why is that? Well, because everything they eat is gluten.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
So I want to give out, if I may, my little way that people can get my books and CDs and DVDs. You want to give out yours?
Of course, yeah. Can you give me your website? I'll put it in the chat here so they can see that.
Okay. It's www.drjwallach.com. www.drj, that's the initial, my first name, Joel. www.drjwallach.com. And there's 15 best-selling books in there. There's over 100 best-selling CDs. My biggest one, of course, is the CD is Dead Doctors Don't Lie. We've sold over 600 million copies. It's in 9 languages. Okay. And then, of course, we have the DVDs. Is Your Doctor Killing You? That's my favorite DVD. Is Your Doctor Killing You? Probably.
Most likely, right? Awesome. So we got that in the chat, and I'll post that with the full video, so they have the access to that when they see it online. So they'll be able to go straight to you. But thank you so much, Dr. Wallach. We all appreciate you being here, and we appreciate everything you do.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. I appreciate you, and I look forward to doing this again within 3-4 weeks. We'll do it again. Thank you, Travis.
Awesome.
Thank you, Dr. Wallach. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.